I'm just gonna yammer at you for a bit and tell this little bit of a story. So I've had the same job for 2.5 years. Talked about before, not going into it here. Very physical, very on your feet, labor intensive. You come home aching and sore, and I was like the senior guy at my position. Without going into details for anonymity's sake, I'm not here to slander the job. But I was just burned out as shit, and it stinks because I just got a raise literally days before. It's a solid paycheck, but what would happen is I would my back would be hurting, and I'd miss a day, and now I'm behind on a paycheck, or I gotta take a paid day off, and now I'm behind on that. And you take a step forward, you take a step back, you take a step forward, you take two steps back. Something's wrong with the car. I'm just like, I'm not going anywhere. And then of course, with gas prices, like now I'm going to be flying backwards. So a few days ago, I had this sinus thing going on. I was sick, and the sinuses it was all leaking down into my gut, made me nauseous, started throwing up work. So I ended up taking 3 days off, unpaid, said nothing left, and so I sat there. I was like, I'm done with this. Filled out my Indeed resume, got halfway through it. I had like my work histories from my best jobs over the last 10, 15 years. Um, and then was half done filling on all the duties at your job kind of thing. And I got a nice work history. I was at this job for 2.5 years. Before that, I was at the last job for 2.5 years. And I left that job on good terms, and I was still at this job. And so I've got good recommends, all that kind of stuff. The same, because like that day or the next day, maybe within hours, I get a phone call for this job. Long story short, I left the old job. I'm off to the new job, but there's a gap in between with the start date, so I'm going to be tight on money, especially with gas. So I've got a link in the description for my PayPal account. If you throw me $5, I love you for it. But so it's a hospital gig. I can say that. I'm not going to say where. It's a hospital gig. I'm going to be a hospital housekeeper. I've done it before. But with the COVID, a lot of people are terrified of this, working in a hospital, medical facility. And so the wages on that are skyrocketing. So it's $20 an hour full time. Although it's like, it's too good to be true. So it's a contract through a hiring service, not the actual hospital, which is before I hired to the hospital. So I'm sitting there waiting for the other shooter, like, it's too good to be true. $20 an hour, full time. And then at hospitals, they're open 24/7, 365. There are no holidays, there are no weekends exactly. So you work every other weekend and you work every other holiday. So if you had Thanksgiving off, you're working Christmas. Your Christmas off, you're working Thanksgiving. If you had this weekend off, you're working the next one. Good news is, when we work that weekend, it's time and a half. When we work those holidays, it's probably double time. So that's some juicy money. It's juicy. So 2 days a week, I'm going to make it $30 an hour. I've never been anywhere near it. So if this all goes on, and I'm at the point where I'm just waiting to get I've got a tentative start date of the 27th. It's currently the 18th. Um, and I'm waiting for the more official, you started on the 27th, 3 p.m., walk in this door, talk to Bob. And then I need to buy scrubs, and I'm set. But I had to run around all over the place. All medical shit is just flexed right now. So I had to go all the way over Timbuktu to get the different shots. I had to get a TB shot, COVID shot, the first round. I got a second round. I got to look up when that day was. something like the 23rd, I think. Nah, it's gotta be later. Anyway, and so I got the Koof shot in this arm. I don't know if you can see anything, and a bunch of shots. And I'm like this big brother dude, bro. So go ahead and just poke your needles. I can handle that. But every time I was like, yeah, go ahead and put it in left arm. After I got back from that Koof shot, it felt like I got punched. Like I was back on the football. I never played fullback, but if I had, and I kept getting tackled here. Oh my god, for like 3 days. Like it's still, I can feel that it's a little sore, and it's been 3 days. For 2 days, it was like, oh, I'd wake up at night and have to roll over, have to gingerly roll over to this side. I was like, damn. So I was in Bloomingdale getting the TB shot and a second one. Then I can't remember what the other shot, another shot. And it was a ways, and GPS wanted to put me on Route 88, which is the interstate, which has tolls. I don't want to pay the tolls, so I had to take the long way around. And then I get there, and they're like, it's going to be a 2 hour wait. And I'm just like, and it was the hottest day all year. It was 106 degrees. And by the time I got there, I passed gas station after gas station, and my thing says I got 36 miles of gas. The sensor's going, and I knew this, but it had been off 12 miles. And, it would say one thing, and then it would tell me something else a little later. Somehow, I was like, I'll be fine. So I pull in there, I get there, and the gas station is 4 blocks up the road. So I'm like, so you get these shots, I'm gonna go hit the gas station. And then like, it's gonna be a 2 hour wait, my love. So no one spoke British, but so I'm sitting in the parking lot with the AC cranking because it's like ranging from 106 to 116 degrees, and the car died, and I am an hour plus from home, in the middle of nowhere. So I start. I'm hoping that I'm parked at a kind of an incline, and so I'm hoping that there's still gas in the tank, but it's maybe rolled to the back because we're talking 4 blocks. So I put it in neutral, kind of roll it down this hill. I look behind me, and I'm about to smack a car, so I had to push it forward, roll it, get more. Okay, get, all right, now back, in neutral. Get it into a handicap spot, one of those yellow line things. All the while, it's 106 to 116 degrees, and I'm just you rip and sweat. And so I get that parked in there. I'd already gone in and filled out all the paperwork, and now I'm just waiting to get a call to come in just, 30 feet into the office door and go get these shots. And I wanted to sit outside because I was just walking in. I was sweating a little bit, so I didn't want to sweat around this room full of people. And you got to wear the mask. I got a beard. I don't want to wear the mask. I don't want to wear it. So I was sitting outside for a while, dripping sweat. Then a lady came out who I talked to when I was filling out the form. She says, like, you got to come back in here. She's like, did your car die? Yeah, my car died. She's like, you're gonna dehydrate. You gotta come sit in the AC. I'm like, okay. So I get the shots, and they said 2 hours. I was out of there in like 45 minutes. So that worked out really well, and it was like, here's your shot, word. It's like, okay. I thought this was going to be an ordeal. That because everything else was going to be, that wasn't. God was like, I'm going to fuck with him. I don't know that there's a God, but if there is, he hates me. Hates me. So I go out the block, I get a gas tank, because I don't have one, and I should, but I've never had this problem before. And I'm like, I'm just too cool for school. What do I need it for? I never get this wrong. But the sensor's going. Car's however old it is. 7 years old, 6, 7 years old. It's getting to that point where shit's starting to break. So I go up the block, a few blocks to a Home Depot. I get the tank of gas. I go over to the Shell. I get some gas in the gas can. I get the gas can, go to the gas station, get some gas in the gas can, walk all the way back, spraying sweat as I'm walking down the street. And I'm half like happy because I'm like, hey, it's kind of a nice day. I work radio hour shifts. I don't see the sun a lot. Hey, this is fun, right, guys? And then by the time I get to my car, I'm like, oh my god, just dripping sweat. And so then I didn't realize that on top of the gas can for my nozzle hole, I need a nozzle. And so I'm trying to put it in there. It's not working. I'm like, how am I fucking this up? So finally, I call State Farm, and I'm thinking I'm in Bloomingdale. I'm like Chicago area. This ain't rural. You're gonna be here in like 20 minutes. It was like 2 hours later, hour 40, something. They finally get there. I've been in my car the whole time. The AC don't work. It's 116 degrees. I luckily had a spare work shirt. I had to take off the one shirt because it's saturated with sweat. Throw that back, put on another one. That's now like 3/4 saturated with sweat. The guy finally shows up, and instead of being angry, like, bro, I was like, I am so glad to see you, dude. So he's like, do you have the gas thing? What the fuck was it? And I'm like, he's like, it's usually by your tire. Pop your trunk. So I popped the trunk. I'm looking around for whatever he's talking about. He's like, it's this. It's a little cone deal, this little white cone deal. I didn't even know I had. And that's why I couldn't get the gas in the gas thing. There's a little metal block there that you got to get pushed out of the way. And you need this one more extra piece to pop in. I've never had this problem before. So it's like that was sitting in my car the whole time. I had the gas. I had the gas can. I had gas in the gas can. I just needed that one more component, that one more puzzle piece. I didn't even know was back there, but I had the whole time. So I could have been done with this shit if I just stopped in for a tank of gas before I pulled in, avoided this whole thing, or knew that that was back there. I could have been out of here 2 hours ago. Just 3 hours of my life. I'm not getting back. I'm just being miserable. So that's all done. All the paperwork is done. Everything is done. I've got this job, $20 an hour, full time. And so I just have to get to my start date. I need to go buy a couple pair of scrubs at least, like two scrubs, two top and bottom scrubs. They have to be like a dark gray or dark blue, she said. And then go to do my start date. It's a job I did for 26 months before. I know it well. And then get to my first paycheck and I'll be solid if this all holds up. But it's just like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop because it always fucking does. I'm waiting for the catch. $20 an hour to be a housekeeper. It's too good. It's too good. It makes sense because of COVID. Of course, people don't want to go die from COVID. So, it was the same thing at my now old job too. We were making $12.50 something. They bumped it up to 15 something for our shift. I think it's still like 13 or 14 but then with our shift differential, I was up in my time in. I was up to 16 something. So this is a big pay bump. I just got in a shift that was based on a percentage based on my rating. I didn't even know what that was gonna be. I don't know if that was on my first paycheck yet. But I was making like 16.22. I'm jumping all the way up to 20 if this works. I just now have to get there. So I'm living off of ramen noodles and macaroni and cheese for about a month until I get that first paycheck. Yikes. So it's gonna be tough. I can make it, but it's gonna be tough. And then my next thing to do is do plasma. They say donate plasma, but I'm selling plasma for money. So I need money, not well wishing. So anyway, that's my story. I've been talking about me for a while. That's what happened. There's a link in the description to my PayPal. If you can throw me $5, I'll love you for it. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.